Hello, this is Kreatya Shannon with another installment of Virtual World Stories and Unleash Your Creativity. As I've mentioned before, in looking into some of the more yoga influenced topics that I have worked on for this series, one of the books that I have referenced is The Yamas and Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice, written by Debra Adele. This was one of the key books that was used when I did my studies for my yoga teaching certificate. The second one of the yamas is called truthfulness or satya. I found it interesting in this book that an example from the Chronicles of Narnia is used from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, talking about Aslan, the Lion King, who this author compares to the jewel of Satya or truthfulness. The author talks about how truth has the power to right wrongs and end sorrows. It is fierce in its demands and magnanimous in its offerings. Quote from the author. But the end point that is being made in the comparison is like Aslan, the Lion King, the jewel of Satya or truthfulness isn't safe, but it is good. Again, author quote. It is identified as a place that we rarely get to and seldom know what the outcome will be and what truth is. And that got me thinking then in turn about virtual worlds where we do build a reality that may not be the one that we live in our personal or fleshly life. So, what then does truth look like? I think the truth in that sense is about, again, it's a nice phrase in this book. One of the subject headings is be real rather than nice. I think it has to do with how we present the heart and soul of ourselves and in turn our creativity. What's us? What what makes the heart and soul of what we're trying to do? That's the self-expression. And there is a difference between self-expression and self-indulgence. This chapter happens to get into that as well. And again, that's a very interesting distinction to stop and take about ourselves. Self indulgence really is the idea of shoulds, should nots, either from within ourselves or from other messages that are given to us, versus creatively and realistically showing what we really are. And that's the truth that's really needed in being our creative self. And sometimes it's not an easy thing to do, but to be good to ourselves and who we intend to be in any life we live, in any place we try to live it. I think those are important. Another thing I found interesting going through this chapter again is looking at how nonviolence, which I've talked about before, and truth can be seen as intertwined. There's a piece in that, and also the idea with how you express truth, how you present things is so crucial. Going to quote the author again, Debra Adele. The compassion of nonviolence keeps truthfulness from being a personal weapon. And I've seen people do that. Sometimes truth and love is necessary, and at other times, truth can be used just as harshly, but not in a loving way. We have to remember that whatever truth we decide that we're expressing about ourselves and what we do creatively, that it carries weight in the world, and that's not something to take lightly or to take for granted because it has so much power behind it. So for me, I think the takeaway is before I get started on anything I intend to do in a given day in a virtual world, I want to take for myself anyway a couple minutes, not rush in on whatever it is that I'm working on, and think about, really reflect on that before I go into it. What do I want to do with my day? What do I want to do creatively? What do I want to do in the most genuine and real but considerate way possible to be good to myself, to be good to others? So that's my reflection and my thought is releasing the truth of your creativity, but thinking about releasing it with intention and finding time to reflect and not rush through everything that you do to make sure that you stay true to whatever your goal is. So, again, thank you for listening. and I wish you all the best.